Hello everyone, Jay Grabbard here, and I haven't published a video in like a while. I'm sorry. I am going to talk about what I hate about being the artistic kid in my class. So there are 3 artistic kids in my class, which is me, my best friend Anna, and my other best friend Savannah. So it all started in 3rd grade. What I would do is I would draw a circle and a dot for eyes, and I hated that. My drawings looked like donkeys. So I'd keep trying to draw. And then eventually in 3rd grade, we hit that point where we had to draw our favorite book, write our favorite book title, and illustrate. So then what I did is I drew Grumpy Cat, which was actually really good, but the other cats looked very deformed, except for Grumpy Cat because he was sitting down. And so then I put the eyes, and they looked like My Little Pony eyes. And I was so happy that I had achieved that goal. I was like, wow. Yeah. Nowadays, my art is very different from that, especially digitally. So, I had 2 best friends. Just kidding. In 3rd grade, I only had 1 best friend, and a normal friend. That normal friend just so happened to be Anna, and my best friend in 3rd grade was this girl named Jessie. Jessie was one of those popular girls, obsessed with Pink, Britney Spears, that type of girl. But she was still my close friend. Kind of like how I am today with my other friend Kanaya, but we get along great most of the time. So, anyways, I showed it to Jessie first, and she's like, "Oh, this is cool. I'm glad you mastered it," and gave me a high five. I did this during indoor recess because we had indoor recess because we couldn't go outside because it was raining. So then I showed it to Anna, and she's like, "Oh, can you help me draw like that?" So I taught her how to do it. And then after that, we kept practicing on it. I kept practicing more on my paper, and she was practicing on her paper as well, but not as often as me. I was drawing every day then, so was she. Then eventually, when we got to the 4th grade, she was okay, so she was more drawing digitally, and I was more drawing on paper. But when we got to the 4th grade, I was still drawing on paper, but not as much, because I just recently figured out how to record on your home screen with DU. So when we were in the 4th grade, I would trace Scootaloo because I didn't know how to draw. And Anna, what she would do was she would practice more on paper. Then eventually, we got up to 5th grade. But in the summer, right after 4th grade, I believe 2 weeks later, I saw a video of one of my close friends at the time. We've grown apart so much now. I don't think she even remembers my name. I know her name because it's Victoria, because it has on her channel. But if it wasn't on her channel, I would have forgotten. But yeah, so Victoria Berry is her YouTube channel name, but now it's Vicky Draws Things because she changed it and deleted one of her old videos. So, if you've known me for a while, you know I made a couple videos on Victoria, and stuff. I know Neon knows. I'm calling her Neon because I'm not going to expose her name because we're not that close anymore. And if I do that, and I feel like her fans, she gets I get some of my fans from hers, and she gets some of her fans from me. So if I say her real name, they're gonna be like, "Ooh, information." I'm not gonna do that. So she probably, of course, she remembers that, but I'm not sure if anyone else does. So then, basically, I was obsessed with Eddsworld. So I saw that, and she basically made a video saying drawing Eddsworld characters. She drew the normal one. She drew the Lunatics in the future. I had no idea who these characters were, but what really sparked my interest were Lunatics, Ed, and future Tom. They're like, "Whoa, these character designs are so cool, ooh!" And then I got into Eddsworld. Yes, that's literally the entire story. And then I got obsessed with it, and then I started talking to myself as like a pretend audience because I stopped recording videos because I was getting hate. It's just a habit that I've gotten now because I used to like talk with my voice in all of my videos. Yeah. I remember my face reveal on this channel. That was the creepiest bull. I don't even have that now, which is good, of course. But I know most of my fans already know what I look like, so it doesn't matter anyways. Okay, so I went back to school. I went to 5th grade. This is the beginning of the school year, near the end of 2018. And I'm in the 5th grade, of course. And so basically, here's what happens. So I talked to myself a lot. I was like, okay, so what if we do this? And I would be like constantly drawing. That's when I first met Kanai. She's like, the first thing that she said to me was, excuse me, can you stop talking? Which I listened to her, but a couple minutes later I started talking to myself again. It's a habit. It's still a habit, but it's more of a habit. It was more of a habit then. I'm kind of beating. The only time I would do that is if I'm like going over a script. Like if I'm thinking of what I'm going to say on a video, which I was doing a couple minutes ago before I started making this. But yeah. And then often I eventually just don't do it. Most of the time when I try to do that, I would imagine me making a weird video of me talking, and then like people would be reacting to it, like these two people, Christine and Shay. They'd be like, "What is this? Ew." That's probably what Shay would be like, and then like Christine would be like, "It's cute." Yeah, basically. Personality is a bitch. People say karma's a bitch. Personality's a bitch. So, I started drawing some Eddsworld characters in my notebook, and Anna didn't come to open house, and she didn't come on the first day of school. So, the second day of school, I'm like, what are you doing here? Where did you come from? She's like, hi, and I'm like, oh, hi, Anna, and she's like, hi. And then, like, the next day, she's like, oh, I saw your notebook. And I'm like, oh, really? No, interesting. And then she's like, I watched my first ever episode of Eddsworld. And I'm like, really? What did you watch? Which one did you watch? And she's like, I watched the end part 1 and the end part 2. And I'm like, oh, you started on such a bad start. You can't start on the end part 1 and the end part 2 because it's the end. It's the end of the series. If you start on the end of the series, you will have no idea who these characters are. But like the first thing that she would say every single day to me were the Harpoon song. Like I'd just be sitting in class and all of a sudden she'd walk up behind me, stare at my notebook. If I'm drawing something Ezra related, she's like, harpoons, they're better than spoons. And eventually I had to Google the full version to give the lyrics to her because she was like ecstatic about that song at the time. She grew out of that phase, happily. And then, like, they'll start role-playing ages. She wanted to make an OC. I made my OC Jex, the first ever version of her. She's like, oh, that's so cool. I want to make an OC. And I'm like, okay. She's like, can you make me one? And I'm like, sure. So I drew this really badass picture of the first character design of Tamori. She had a red hoodie with like blue waves and blue dots as like a little chemistry thing. And her hair was in a ponytail and it was dyed purple at the end. She had 2 harpoons on her back. She was wearing ripped black jeans and had 1 red shoe and 1 blue shoe. And her eyes were completely black. And she had an eye patch. And she had a bandage on her cheek that had an X over it. Like, who doesn't want that character? So I made it to her. She's like, oh, this is so cool. She, like, drew it and stuff. And then, basically, so then after that, basically, this is really stupid. What am I doing? So, then like, she says, oh, I saw, like, all those, like, roleplay Ezreal videos that people are doing, and I'm like, really? I haven't seen those. So I went home and I watched them, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. So we got back to school, and we started roleplaying. And eventually, 2 months in, Anna finds this place. She's like, hey, this is cool. It's like a really, like, small, confined area with a picnic table that people sit at. So we went there, and thus created the fandom headquarters, the first ever version. We called it the Edhead Headquarters, where we would stay and roleplay our Eddsworld. The first ever version of this was where Jex was friends with the main cast and had her apartment. And then they found this weird egg. And her parents were apparently a rainbow cookie and a muffin. So we found this random egg. And then we're like, this is weird. So we dropped it. And then eventually we went to go get the crystals for something apparently called rainbow cookies. The egg was hiding behind a crystal, so we got it. And then when we were making the rainbow cookies, the egg hatched because of the heat and thus created Tamori. Kind of a Tomish backstory. So at the time, Jex was the mother of Tamori because she was the one who got the crystals. And Tord was the brother of Tamori because he was the one who made them. So, brother. So they were like brother and sister, and they hated each other. They had like this rivalry that was worse than Tord and Tom at the time. It was like, whoo! Marquisha, what is this? And like every second she's like, oh, you're awake. Oh, what are you talking about, sis? You look disgusting today. No, you. Oh, yeah, throws butcher knife. Oh, don't you dare fight. Insert fighting sounds here. Every day is basically what they do.